Ladies and gents, welcome to Reaction. This is Saragarhi, the last stand extra history by the channel Extra Credits. A humble signal station manned by only 21 Sikh officers of the British Empire finds itself beset by 10,000 attackers. Damn, 21 versus 10,000. Are you kidding me? There is no hope for relief, but even knowing it will come at the cost of their lives. The Sikh refuse to stand up. Yeah, that's a trend when it comes to Sikhs. They're known, Sikh people are known for their loyalty, their bravery, their principles, basically. So yeah, this is not surprising. I've seen the, somewhat, not fully, but somewhat the movie Kesari. It's a Bollywood movie, but it's based on this basically. So I kind of know, what's gonna happen somewhat. So basically, 21 men is going to, try to stop 10,000 people. They're gonna thwart, their approach, slow it down. Until the other side, basically allied side, can I guess muster enough troop to be ready or something, because it was a surprise attack of 10,000 or something. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Remember, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the cast of the playlist like history with all my historical videos from this channel and other channels too. All is Saragarhi production with all the Saragarhi production, reaction, history and mythological and everything. Tier Zoo, CGP Grey, Internet Historian, Khasgazar in a nutshell. Check all that out. And yeah, let's do this one.
Afghanistan, graveyard of empires, where Alexander met his match, where the great Soviet would stumble. But right now, September of 1897, the British Empire takes...
Yeah, Afghanistan is ridiculous geography of it, right? The mountains, the caves and everything. All empire of the past struggles. Even here, British is going to struggle and, lose basically. Soviets lost. Alexander struggled here. Even with the war on terror, all the, allied forces and whatever, US forces and things like that. All were also struggling to find terrorists because they are in cave hidden. Afghanistan is really complicated geographical place. If you want to attack it, the local people who knows the place gonna have way higher advantage.
Takes its turn playing out their own tragedy in the heat and the dust. Eventually, they too will leave enervated, sapped of strength by this unforgiving land. But not today. In 1857, a great uprising had swept through India and nearly displaced the British forces there. Since then, the British continuously fought smaller rebellions to hold on to the jewel of their empire. Today is September 12th, 1897. Dawn comes to the very boundary of empire. We stand in the uncontrolled borderland that would today be just on the Pakistani side of the Pakistan-Afghanistan divide. The British Empire has been trying to consolidate its hold on this wild, untamed region for some time. They've built a string of forts to help them project power into the mountains tribeland. In this string of forts, there are two named Fort Gulliston and Fort Lockhart. And between these two forts stands a tiny, threadbare village called Saragarhi. It is this village that concerns us today. Because in that village, the British had established a signaling post so that Fort Gulliston and Fort Lockhart could communicate with each other. And they had manned that post with a handful of Sikhs. Dawn breaks. The men wash, go through their morning meditation, affix their turbans, and begin their day. Over the last 10 days, there have been probing attacks on the forts. There's a sense that something is brewing. Everybody is on high alert. The Sikhs man their posts and begin their morning tasks. The air is dry, thin.
This is ridiculous. I like how this channel, paints the picture like that, how the, emotions and psychologies at the time, how people are at edge. But imagine that, entire fort only manned by 21 men. 100 people attacking, whoa, that's overwhelming, sure. More than 100, oh no. 1,000, holy shit. 10,000? What is this shit? 10,000 people attacked this. They had no idea. They just thought they're just going to walk inside and kill everybody and just move on, right? They had no idea what was happening, what's going to happen as soon as they arrive. Because, they would know that there are only 20 or so people defending that fort, right? The first fort. So they would be like, we're just going to walk inside and kill everybody. It's going to be a matter of seconds, minutes, basically. But no, it wasn't. Because those 21 Sikhs are ridiculously powerful and resilient.
In the mountain passes. The day is clear. Someone tells a joke to break the tension, and everybody laughs, but the feeling remains. One of the lookouts shouts, "There's a great mass moving on the horizon." All 21 men in this tiny post take up defensive stations. The signalman operates a tiny hand-cranked mirror that lets him send messages to the forts by making Morse code out of flashes of light. He signals Fort Lockhart to let them know the situation. Fort Lockhart signals back that they count at least 14 standards, at least 10,000 tribesmen, once allied with the British but now in full revolt. And they are descending on the fort, with only the little signaling post standing in their way. All around the signalmen, the rest of the unit is piling up ammunition and barring the gates of their tiny compound. The signalman sends a fateful message. "Can you send help?" There's a moment's delay, then a reply. No. They won't get there in time, and they can't leave the fort unguarded.
All right, here's what I'm thinking about this. Okay, first of all, there was tension in the air, so clearly they had some kind of an intel or some kind of a rumor that people might attack. Some kind of a British negotiation ended with the attackers or something, so they kind of were expecting that they might revolt or something. Why wasn't defense ready? Like if some attack happens, they could help. I mean, this is surprise attack, sure, but not that surprising since everybody was at alert, so everybody was expecting something like this could happen. So why was other fort not ready for this and immediately, ran for help or something?
The men in the signaling unit gather around their commander, Ishar Singh, knowing that they could still make a break for it. But Ishar calmly tells them what they are, in their hearts, already prepared for. They will stay, and they will fight. They will delay the oncoming tribesmen as long as possible. They will buy the forts the time they need to call in reinforcements. There is no disagreement, no mutiny or desertion. There is only a quiet acknowledgement as the men get back to work. The signalman returns to his mirror. Throughout the day, he will never stop.
Not one guy deserter, right? I mean, even the movies when they, make up something that is ridiculously over the top, which this feels like, but it's true. 21 men stand guarded against 10,000. It feels like something made up in some writer made it up, but no, it's real. That's how ridiculous this is. But even in Hollywood, when somebody make up for the reality's sake, they always show one guy at least getting scared and run away. In here, nobody ran away. All of those 21 men stand guarded. I mean, look, I'm not a soldier. I'm not a Sikh. I'm just, my usual thinking at this place when I put myself in this position would be, you know what, screw this. I'm not British, and dying in front of these 10,000 people is not going to solve anything. I should just make a run for the empty ground or whatever and just run away. But that would be me, and I would be wrong in that place, right? So these people's pride, principle and the bravery is really strong here that, I would not be in that mindset. Even though this was important, because if they hadn't done that, 10,000 attackers would have just walked past that fort, go to the Saragarhi village, and probably killed all the civilians that are there, right? I mean, there is a village in between. It's not just that they were just doing their duty and they just wanted stop the attackers just because it's their job or anything. No, they probably saw all the civilians in the village and they saw that they are helpless. So these people have to do something. I guess that is why they stuck around. Like, it's about those innocent lives. If we run away, they are all dead. Maybe we can give them time. Maybe we can do something and, stop the people. That was their mentality. That is just way brave, right?
Stop relaying the events. The sound of the onrushing horde grows louder. Rifles crack. Then the horde is upon them, assaulting the outer wall. The disciplined fire of the Sikh troops break the first wave of rushing tribesmen, but they are like the sea, rolling back, reforming, and then rushing forward again with even greater strength. Bodies drop all along the killing field in front of the signal post, 20 rifles roaring against 10,000. But this time, it's not enough to break the charge. Shells pepper the rough-hewn walls. One of the signal company falls dead. Then the enemy is at the wall, climbing, clambering up, determined. A brief melee, knives and swords and bayonets and rifle butts. They break the wave again, but this time there's Sikh blood in the dust, under the baking sun. The bodies of the fallen are carried back to the inner wall. Each loss is a friend, one of only 21 holding this station, and that number is dropping. Shouts are heard from outside the wall. The tribe's leaders are promising the Sikhs wealth, safety, positions of importance if they just abandon their post. No man budges. The sun falls low on the horizon, turned a smear of blood scarlet by the smoke. The attackers have set fire to the low brush that clings to the hills surrounding the fort. The Sikhs look out, trying to see the shapes of their foes through the thick gray smoke. Then the signalman shouts. The neighboring fort has flashed a dire warning. From their position on the hill, the fort spotted a handful of tribesmen coming out of the smoke on a blind approach to the side of the signaling station. They've breached the first wall.
Look, one thing's for damn sure that even this, 21 Sikhs realize that there is no way they're getting out of this alive. I mean, it's 10,000 people. I mean, 21 versus 10,000, nobody even, plays video games with that order. I mean, that's this shit. That's this situation here. So every single Sikh knows that they are going to die. And by knowing they have to, stop these people in order to save the villagers or something. I mean, they are fighting, really hard, but they know that they are going to die viciously by stab wounds, some kind of an injury or something. I mean, when I put myself in that scenario, I don't know what to think. Look, I would be scared, all right? I'm not saying they weren't scared. Being scared is not wrong or something. Being scared actually helps you. Helps your survival instincts. But I would be scared at the level that I probably wouldn't function knowing that, even though I know that there are villagers who relies on me. I don't know, maybe I would, maybe if I'm in this situation, maybe I would be like, okay, there is no turning back or something, I don't know. But right now thinking, I would be like, this is way brave, right? I mean, I don't think I would be like this. I mean, everybody remembers the 300 Spartans. But this story is really unheard of. I mean, there's a recent movie in Bollywood about this. Recent. Not old, kind of recent. And this is the only video I think that is on the YouTube that is famous enough for this incident. Everybody remembers 300 Spartans. Nobody remembers 21 Sikh against 10,000 attackers. That's just ridiculous.
Ishar Singh barks orders, breaking off a handful of men to defend the breach. When shots sound from the flanking attack, the main force again rushes the main gates with their now diminished defenders. Soon, all combat deteriorates to a desperate melee with bayonet, knife, boot, and sword. Tribesman after tribesman falls to the Sikhs' cold steel, but the weight of numbers takes its toll. Inch by inch, the Sikhs are pushed back. Each soldier of the signal post sells his life.
Pushed back, right? Pushed back, not killed. So they're still fighting, but they have to go back now. They're fighting 10,000 people, hordes of people coming, but they have to, retreat now. Not that they are going to get overwhelmed and get stabbed.
Dearly, slaying dozens for each defender that falls, but soon there are only a handful of the signal troop left. Ishar Singh orders his men to fall back, to retreat to the comparative safety of the inner wall and remount a defense. But they can't break and get through the gate without giving their attackers an opening to force their way through. Ishar knows this. He tells his men to go, and then bellows, charging the swarming tribesmen with sword and pistol in hand. For a few valiant seconds, he cuts down attacker after attacker, and then is overwhelmed. His blood stains the rock, but it is enough. His men have taken to the inner wall and formed a second defensive position. He knew, and they know, that the position is still hopeless, but it'll buy the forts more time, and cost their assailants more dearly. Fewer than a dozen men now stand to return fire. Every shot fired into the swirling mass before them is almost certainly fatal, but axes and clubs and rifle butts hammer against the thin wooden gate to the inner wall. It's not long before the gate comes crashing down. The signalman sends out one final message, requesting permission to take up his rifle. When the fort grants it, he packs his signal gear back up in its leather case and affixes his bayonet to his rifle. The men from the fort can only watch as the signalman moves to hold the door to his small signal shed. He is the last Sikh alive in the fort. For a moment, they cheer as he fells one tribesman and then another, and then 18 more.
Damn.
The tribesmen pull back, and for a
I mean, look, man, he's just basically like, come here, and just killing 10, 15, 18 people. Like, he's literally last man standing. Those are these people, British people in the other fort are watching this. They are actually, they're cheering because they feel like there is still hope the guy could survive the way he's killing people. But obviously it's hopeless because there's so many numbers there. But it would be so ridiculous sight, right? These people, one by one, way too powerful. Everyone equal to 20, 50 of the other people. That's just...
The moment the troops are hopeful, but then they see the smoke. The assailants have lit the signal station on fire. Later, it will be reported that the signalman yelled the Sikh battle cry over and over as the fires burned, Bole Sonihal, Sat Sri Akal, or shout aloud in ecstasy, true is the great timeless one. The signal
That was surprisingly good the way he pronounced it. I thought he was gonna massacre that, but no.
over and over as
Look at
the
that.
fires burned, Bole Sonihal, Sat Sri Akal.
That was perfect pronunciation. Damn. I mean, that was so perfect pronunciation. Most of the Sikh friends I have, even they kind of butchers that. They eats the T. They say Sasrikal rather than Satsrikal. That was proper. There's pretty good pronunciation there.
Or shout aloud in ecstasy, true is the great timeless one. The signal post is taken, but the 21 Sikhs stand have bought their neighboring forts the time they needed. By the time the rebelling tribesmen attack, the forts have been reinforced, and they succeed in turning back the tide. When at last the British retake that little signaling post in that tiny mountain village of Saragarhi, they find that the 21-man signaling unit had left behind hundreds of enemy casualties. The Battle of Saragarhi is the only time in British military history where every single soldier involved in a military action was awarded the highest military honor available to them. You can argue how much impact their sacrifice had, of course. The British would lose all influence over Afghanistan in less than 25 years.
Yeah, but that's the case with any war. I mean, what does any battle, any sacrifices in the overall picture achieves anything? In the end, it usually is a peace treaty sign. They revert back, and then few decade attacks again. It's like a reset thing. So that's not the way to think about battlefield, because most battles, most battles, I use a very few wars achieve something like, some sacrifices really translated into lots of lives saved at the time. Very few wars has that. Usually it's at the, at the bordering countries, between the borders or something, some kind of war that somebody trying to take a region or something, some kind of a dispute. War happens, people die left and right, and in the end, they sign peace treaty, repeat the process even every few decades, and that's how the wars go every time. But yeah, I mean, that was just, that was way ridiculous, this story. The first time I realized this story, I mean, the first time I heard about the movie, it's like, is this some kind of a fictional thing, or is this really happen? Because in my mind, it's like this has to be somebody wrote it up, right? This has to be fiction. But no, look at that, it is real. Then I realized it is real, and that really stunned me. Like, damn, 21 people against 10,000 attackers, and it was a fight. It wasn't something like 10,000 people just walked inside and killed everybody. That's just awesome.
And would lose control over India 1 month before the 50th anniversary of this battle. But this battle serves to remind us of all the groups that have sacrificed to make great nations great. The groups that we sometimes forget when we talk merely about the history of great powers and movements on the world stage. And that alone is something worth remembering, even 120 years later.
Yeah. I mean, when you ignore all the, all the egos of the great powers and all the geopolitical bullshit, in the end, what happened here is 10,000 people walked inside a place to viciously kill 21 people. Those 21 people fought back and killed viciously the attackers, and in the end died in the process. That's what happened here. When you put that mentality in your head and imagine all the picture, that's just way brutal, right? But obviously that's not how the world works. They fought to, save many lives, save, any villagers that were probably there. So, they fought because, they had to. Otherwise, even the other fort would have been overwhelmed, and they would have lost a lot of land early on. So yeah, that was just awesome. I mean, what surprised me is that, this is, was really, this was not famous. Apart from the Bollywood movie, I don't think most people even realize about this. I think this is the only big video about this incident, this event on the YouTube too. Even if there are other videos that are not probably popular that much. Even this video has 2.5 million views. So, whenever some great event and historical event happens, people remember 300 Spartan. I mean, it's way overdone thing. Everybody, even any kid in every corner of the world probably knows about 300 Spartan. But nobody even remotely remembers this. That is just ridiculous. Yeah. At least they got the highest honor. I mean, in the military service you can get. That is something. Alright, people, That was Saragarhi, The Last Stand. That showed how brave, loyal and principled Sikhs are. This was just great. If you like my reaction, like, subscribe, check out the lyrics and there's a link in the description. Check out the cast of the different playlists, check out the end cards, and I'll see you next time.